The second day of the draft has concluded, and the Devils still did not make a trade, but they made a few selections, and you're going to hear from one of them throughout the course of the episode. There's a lot to break down in today's episode of Locked On Devils, coming to you live from the Peacock Theater here in LA. Buckle up, everybody.
You're Locked On Devils, your daily podcast on the New Jersey Devils, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hi, this is Bryce Salvador, and you're Locked On Devils with Trey Matthews.
Elliott scores! Oh, Steven stepped up, nailed it. Brodor's got the puck. What a shot. The Devils win the Stanley Cup.
Alrighty now, what is up, New Jersey? Welcome back to the Locked On Devils podcast here at the Locked On Network. I'm your host, college hockey play announcer, Devils Wire Pucks Pitchforks, and also part-time credential media member, Trey Matthews. Still no major trades or deals to announce for the Devils, but the NHL draft is now officially in the books, and the Devils had a few selections throughout the day. I'm still here inside the Peacock Theater in downtown LA. Once again, I apologize for any commotion you might hear around me. In today's episode, we will recap some of the Devils' notable selections, and then we will also hear from 63rd overall selection, Ben Kevan. And then I will share my thoughts in the draft in general before I check out from Cali. All right. The Devils had 7 selections. They had 2 second-round picks, 1 third, 2 fourths, and 2 sixths. With their first selection in the second round, they drafted Conrad Fondrk. He played for the U.S. developmental program in the USHL. He is committed to play for Boston University under Jay Pandolfo. I saw something on social media where someone jokingly said that at this point, Pandolfo might be the development coach for the Devils because it seems like he's getting a lot of prospects to play for his program. But getting back on track, here's a scouting report on Fondrk. He is a skilled forward with an arsenal of passing skills and plenty of moves. Equally skilled as a shooter, he's a precise one-time shooter. He's a scoring threat from the top of the circle and just inside the slot, and consistently finds openings between defenders for chances. He also hooks pucks through opponents for chances, deceives before passing, and occasionally dangles through traffic. I'm starting to see some of the rankings online, and a lot of people had him 50th overall. So I think it was in the ballpark for him to be drafted where the Devils had their selection. So no surprise. Courtesy of my colleague over at Pucks and Pitchforks, Joseph Stanislaw, a.k.a. Jersey Joe, he informed me that a good comparison would be Sean Monahan or Pierre-Luc Dubois. So if you just need some sort of comparison for Conrad Fondrk, look at those two players. Moving on, the Devils selected Ben Kevan, also from the U.S. developmental program. He is committed to play at Arizona State University, best school out west. Yes, I am biased. Don't leave a comment. I get it. We'll hear from him in the second segment. Third round, they selected Mason Moe, a center committed to play at the University of Minnesota. Their first fourth-round selection was Trenton Bennett, a goalie from the Owen Sound Attack, who stands 6'8". Worth mentioning that some other outlets have him listed at 6'6". But either way, similar to Mike Yegorov, he's a big body in net. Second fourth-round selection, another center, this time Gustav Hillstrom from Sweden. There were no fifth-round selections, so I sat up in the press box bored, waiting anxiously for the sixth round. First pick in the sixth round, the Devils selected David Rozavol. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. He hails from Czechia. Hey, maybe he'll be Andre Palat's replacement once Palat is off the books within the next few days. That's my prediction. But take it with a grain of salt. Final pick, another Swede named Siggy Holmgren from Sweden. I really hope that Siggy Holmgren makes it to the NHL because I can already see great marketing with that name because, you know, Siggy is similar to Biggie. Biggie's an East Coast rapper. I think a lot of people would have fun with that, but digressing a little bit, that's the rundown of today's draft for the Devils. And like I said, we will hear from Ben Kevan in the second segment. But before we continue, let me tell you guys about wonderful pistachios. Looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Crack into a good source of protein with wonderful pistachios. Wonderful pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you feel fuller all day long. Personally, I love the no shells variety. It's a perfect grab and go snack for busy days. Whether I'm snacking at my desk on a road trip or just need a quick protein boost, they're always my go-to. As you guys know, I'm always on the go. I'm always traveling, so I love having a snack by my side. Get snacking and get cracking with a snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. All right. I had the chance to speak with Ben Kevan during the draft. It's worth mentioning that this year's draft was conducted so much different compared to last year because there were a lot more prospects in attendance. This time around, I think due to capacity reasons, they only invited about 90 to 100 prospects. So Kevan was the only Devils prospect that was selected that had the chance to speak with the media. Now, obviously, some other prospects had other obligations to commit to. So Fondrk, he was with family. I believe he was at his aunt's house when he heard the news that the Devils selected him. It's also worth bringing up that development camp is, I think, in a day or two. So it makes sense that we would wait until then to hear from most of them. But Kevan was the only one in attendance. And before I play his soundbite, I have a funny story to share. Yesterday, before the first day of the draft, I had the chance to speak with a few family members, and I asked them like a street question, which is like, where do you want to see your relative get drafted to? I had the chance to speak with like Cameron Reed's entire family, and Ben Kevan's family was also at the red carpet event. So I asked them like, where do you want Ben to end up? And 2 of them said the Sharks. 1 of them said Utah. So I just thought it was a very funny interaction. And now he's a Devil. So he not only is he going to be a Sun Devil under Greg Powers this fall, but he's going to be a New Jersey Devil, hopefully in the not so distant future. But anyway, here's what Ben Kevan had to share to me and the rest of the media. Take a listen.
Follow their team quite a bit, especially with a guy like Jack Hughes in the organization, a player that, you know, is an American and someone who all American kids look up to. And so being able to be able to say that I'm in that organization with a player like that, I'm super proud of it, and I just can't wait to get going.
Did you know that they had some interest in you heading into the draft?
I talked to them at the combine. It was a bit hard to gauge, but it's hard to gauge for anyone. But I knew that it was a team that I would really love to go to, and I was fortunate enough to get picked by them.
I know you're obviously high-end skilled. They're a very high-end skilled team. Do you think that kind of matches well with the way you play?
Yeah, I think I can really keep up with a lot of their players, especially with the way I skate and the way I can play and the way that people can play off me. So I'm excited to see how the fit goes.
What are some areas of your game that you'd like to improve upon? Obviously, I don't know if you're going to development camp, but some areas that you'd like to get better at?
Yeah, I'd say the biggest one for me is just getting stronger, I think. You know, just being an 18-year-old kid, I, of course, want to make the NHL, and I think I just need to be bigger, stronger, and just be able to play against grown men.
How would you describe your game?
I would say I'm a high-energy, high-paced winger that's able to get up and down the ice quickly and use my speed to not just get pucks into good areas, but also to get pucks back, stay on the forecheck, run a back check.
You're committed to ASU.
Yeah.
ASU alone as
Yeah.
well. So what about the program really stood out for you? Why'd you commit to Greg Powers and all of them?
Yeah, I think just the buy-in that they had, not just into me, but everyone that they've committed and that they've talked to. I think that's something that's really special about them. And I think I really wanted to win a national championship with Coach Powers and Coach Dana and all those guys, and I'm really excited to get going.
You talked about Jack Hughes. Did you have any other role models that you tried to model your game after?
Yeah, the biggest one for me is Tomas Hertl. He was a Sharks guy for a while, and growing up from that area, he was someone that I always looked at as being, one of my favorite players, and I always try to emulate the things that he did and try to put into my game.
Did you reach out to Josh Stone or Joey Decor, also ASU alum who are currently in the NHL?
I talked to Robert Mastronome. He's on the Marlies right now currently, but I mean, he went through it all, and it was nice to hear his input on everything, especially trying to find my way with committing, and I think he was one of those guys who could really help me sway, and I think, so it was really nice having that input.
Can you talk about what it was like to get back on track after your injury?
Yeah, it was a bit difficult just derailing a bit, and it got me down for a little bit, but I had to just recover. I took a week and a half, 2 weeks to just let my wrist heal, and so yeah, I think it was pretty smooth. Just it just took me down a bit, but
I mean, because you heard it so early in the year, and then like you probably you're not expecting that, so you had to overcome that.
Yeah, it was very early. I mean, it was the second period of the second game of the year, so it was definitely difficult. But I feel like I overcame it pretty well and just got back on track pretty easily.
How important has the USNDVP been in your development from a young player to where you are right now?
Really good, just being able to play with some of those players and kind of seeing how they, treat the game and how they go throughout their day-by-day life. I think it was something that was really eye-opening for me to see.
We talked before about, being from the Fairfield area. What's it like being a kid from an area that maybe is not known for a lot of hockey, but being at the stage now?
I think it's really special. I think, Fairfield's a small city, and I know a lot of people over there are cheering for me, so I'm really happy to be that just first player to do something like this, and I hope that many kids go to follow and hopefully surpass me and go in the higher area. So I'm really excited to see what I did here is able to hopefully push on to the next generation.
How did you get involved in hockey? What was it that sparked your interest?
My dad was really big into it. He was more into the fighting of it than the hockey, and he'll always be open about that. But he loved the sport, and he got me into it at a young age, and I've fallen in love ever since.
I mean, there's a lot of ice rinks around Fairfield, or did you have to do a lot of travel?
There is one 20 minutes away at a city called Vacaville, so I was very fortunate to have a rink close enough to me. Some kids aren't as fortunate, where they'd have to commute for an hour 30 in heavy California traffic to get there. So I was very, very fortunate.
What do you think is mature, or in what ways have you matured over the past couple of years playing junior hockey? I know you moved away from home when you were younger, so you've been a little bit more mature than most.
Yeah.
But what can you say about the past 2 years that's really helped you?
I think the biggest thing for me is just knowing how to grow on my own. Just even when I lived in LA, I still had a real I lived with a teammate, so it wasn't completely like I was just moving in a whole different place and getting to meet someone for the first time and completely turning a new page. But I think when I moved to Des Moines, I got to meet my built mom, Kelly. I think she did such an amazing job of just helping me grow as a man and as a person. I think that's really what helped me the most, and that's how I grew the most, just becoming more of a man and just a better human and all that stuff.
And you mentioned Robert Mastrosimone is actually a Long Island guy.
Yeah.
So is he going to help you learn about Newark, New Jersey, and maybe things you don't know about New Jersey Devils organization?
Yeah, hopefully I'll get in touch with him again, and hopefully he'll be able to tell me some of the cool things that are in the area. But my roommate Blake Zielinski, of course, he's from the Long Island area, so he'll hopefully be able to show me the ropes a little bit too. So I'm excited. I know a lot of ties there. So.
Will you be at development camp?
Yeah.
Have you talked to Potter? He was selected last night by the Flames, I believe.
Yeah, I talked to him. He's really excited, and he's just one of those kids who he's ready to work no matter who picks him, no matter where he gets picked. I'm really happy that he was able to get picked in that first round, because I know that was a goal of his from the start of the year to now, so I'm really happy for him.
What's this week been like for you? Maybe some nerves, some excitement, being here. I don't know if your families, I assume they're here as well.
Yep. It was definitely a lot of nerves and a lot of excitement. I think just finally hearing my name getting called, and especially by an organization like the New Jersey Devils, it was a breath of relief, to be honest. And it felt like just so much weight came off my shoulders, and I'm just really excited that I finally know what team really, really wants to take a chance on me and really wants me to develop in their system. So I'm excited.
How has the Des Moines Buccaneers system just helped you develop and get ready for college and get ready for being a pro?
Yeah, I think just the way that they handle not just on ice stuff but also off the ice. I think with their workout schedule, their skating schedule, I think it's a very pro-like schedule, especially with the way that they handle practices and what we do each day. I think they have a really good system of one day we're going to work really hard and we're going to battle against each other for maybe an hour 30, and then maybe the days leading up it's more of a relaxing, more a team-oriented, things like that. And I think that really helped me just grow and just learn how, it's going to be at the next levels.
Here's a scouting report on Kevan. He is a speedster. He burns defenders with a nonstop crossover and hands that match. He charges into space only to cut back and find the trailer. If not, he works a give and go to burst through the defensive line and has a ton of flash, weaving through traffic, beating defenders and pulling pucks through and around their feet before going to the net or creatively spinning a pass across the slot. Without the puck, Kevan's speed is just as impactful. He chases down puck carriers to press them to the outside and steal possession. After passing, he skates his routes to create space for his teammates behind him and crashes the net for loose pucks. So similar to what he just told me and the rest of the media, he's a speedster and he likes to use his speed to his advantage. Kind of makes sense why the Devils lean toward him, and it also makes sense why Jack Hughes was one of his idols. I even asked him, like, did he have any other idols? Because Jack is still relatively young. He's not that old where he can have like people looking up to him all that much, if you know what I mean. But all jokes aside, Kevan compared himself to Tomas Hertl, so that I think that's an interesting comparison. But I think it's a very interesting dynamic that Kevan is a speed threat. He looked up to Jack Hughes, who also played for the United States developmental team in the USHL. I'm really looking forward to seeing what these prospects can do. There's no guarantee that they'll all make it to the NHL, obviously. And I get that the Devils did not have a first-round selection, but make the most of what you got, and we'll see what Tom Fitzgerald does within the next few days. Okay, to close out today's episode, let's talk about the draft, not only from the NHL standpoint, but also the Devils. So from the NHL standpoint, I said it in the prior episode, I went to the draft last year at the Sphere in Las Vegas. That was so much fun. Great production, great setup by the NHL. I believe they were one of the first few events to go to the Sphere that wasn't like a concert or something like that, because I think the NFL also took notice of how big that was. And it was just so entertaining. It was a great atmosphere. Everyone enjoyed it. And the production was also really good. The timing was also really good. But for this draft in Los Angeles, I gotta be honest, it fell flat. There's no reason why the first day of the draft should nearly be 5 hours long. That's unacceptable. People don't have that type of attention spans. That's just poor planning. And for the owners that voted for a decentralized draft, I really hope they change minds come next year, because I don't care what Steve Yzerman says. I don't care that it's easier on him. Just the whole experience, the whole process, it was just a complete mess. And I was beat after the first day. It was horrible. Just not good planning by the NHL at all. And they should really look into it to try to fix it. So the draft in Vegas, the draft in Los Angeles, night and day. This fell flat on its face. Just a bad showing in general. And as for the Devils, I mean, look, if we're being honest, there's nothing really to get excited for if you're a Devils fan and you're focusing in on the draft, because like I said many times, they didn't have a first round selection because of Jacob Markstrom, but I'm not really going to complain about that. But the reality of it is that the Devils had 7 selections. It could have been 8, but remember, they used one of those second round picks to get Cody Glass at the trade deadline. We're just going to have to wait and see how some of these prospects develop. I mean, look at Jesper Bratt. He was a late selection. He was drafted in the 6th round, and he became one of the best players on the Devils team. And I think he's about to break through and really show to the league that he could be one of the best in the NHL, honestly, because I don't think that's a hot take at all. He broke Scott Stevens' season assist record, but yet no one talks about it. Jesper Bratt is he the best player in the NHL, like social media is saying? I wouldn't go that far, but I think he definitely deserves some more recognition. So you never know. That's all I just got to say. You never know how someone is going to develop their games and elevate it to the next level. But yeah, I mean, I was expecting for the Devils to make a trade. I made a prediction saying that maybe we'll see Andre Palat be dealt away, and maybe the Devils can get a 4th or a 5th round draft pick. But similar to what Jim Behringer told me, similar to what my colleagues over at Pucks and Pitchforks were also saying, you're going to have to wait until July 1st, because Andre Palat's no movement clause will sort of downgrade to a modified no movement clause where he has 10 teams that he doesn't want to be dealt to. And right then and there, you can try to scrap away some of that money. But let me make something perfectly clear. I'm not trying to crap on the prospects. I think the Devils did a good job with what they were dealing with. I know a lot of people wanted to see them move up a little bit and maybe draft Malcolm Spence, who's now heading to the Rangers across the river. I remember watching Spence when he was playing for the Erie Otters. I think he is going to be a really good player. But focusing on the Devils draft class, obviously the main headliners are going to be Fondrk, Kevan, and also Moe. I think those are the three prospects that I would highlight the most. But we'll see what happens. And I know a lot of people want to see the Devils make a splashy move and go for a big time player. But similar to what I said in the prior episode and many episodes during the course of this offseason as well, patience is going to be key. That's just the reality of it. So you got to wait until July 1st. And I think the Devils will get the ball rolling just a little bit more. But in terms of the draft class, I think Devils did a pretty good job. So I'm not really going to complain about that. But I'm just like you. I want the Devils to make a splashy move, but just going to have to wait for the next few days and see how it all unfolds. So the draft in general, I mean, I'm just kind of indifferent about it, if I'm being completely honest. I think the one in Vegas was a lot better. Devils didn't really make any big time moves. I think they selected fine prospects. We're just going to have to wait and see what's in store for them. But yeah, that's my overall thoughts on the draft from both the NHL standpoint and the Devils. But let me know your thoughts. What did you think of the draft this time around? What are some of the strengths of it and what are some of the weaknesses? I'm curious to hear your thoughts. And also, do you have any high hopes for some of the prospects I listed in the first segment? Leave a comment down below if you're watching on YouTube. If you're listening on a podcast streaming service, hit me up on my personal X Page app at TreyMatt4 or the show's X Page app at Locked On Devils. As for today's episode, that's all the time I have for you. Continue to stay safe. Have a wonderful day in New Jersey. Go Devils. I'll catch you guys next episode. Trey Matthews signing out from the Peacock Theater here in downtown LA. Thanks for listening once again.